Okay, when you go to the government authority, maybe in Cape Town or in Johannesburg, what is your complaint? What do you want them to do for you? And usually, what did they tell you? What is the response from them? Anything that we can hold in our hand?
We tell them that we are the owner of the land. One. Here is the proof. Are those signatures when the Boers took the land from our grandfathers? They did make a document. That's number one. We have a title deed number which is from the UN, which was issued in 1937. The government has it, but they just don't want to give it to us. So when you go there and complain about it, to be honest, they don't do anything. They will just tell you that, we'll look at it and then we'll come back to you. And they never do that.
Is it that the South African government does not recognize the people as legitimate owner of the land, or they are not able to intervene to help? What is the situation according to how you see it?
The way I see it is that the South African government uh, or the democratic government took over the power while the land is still in the hands of that former government. So I think the problem is the government itself. They don't have a say as far as the land is concerned because the Boers or the white men still holding the title deed, and which is written by the Dlamini, not the government, not the white. The title deed is written by the Dlamini. So the Dlamini can't have the access to the title deed. The government can't have the access to the title deed. It is still holding by the colonial government. That's the problem.
Mhm. Okay, so right now, the people of Lamini are asking for something, correct?
Yes.
What are you asking for?
I'm asking for the help to get our land back by getting the title deed, which is there in the United Nations. Our title deed is there. They issued the number, which is 16957. That's the title deed of Transvaal. And Transvaal consists of 6 provinces, which is Limpopo, Northwest, Gauteng, Free State, KZN, and Mpumalanga. So now we are appealing to the international communities to help us to get our title deed so that we can get our land back, so that the indigenous people will be able to stand up for themselves and be able to feed their families.
All right, thank you for that. That message is driven home. Now, I'm interested in the population again. You say you're about 5 million people across South Africa. No, all of them are not living inside the territory, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, this population, how do they organize themselves in terms of this demand? Are they united in front of the South African government, telling the South African government, we want freedom for our land? Or is it like everybody is fighting for his or her interest?
South African people has been fighting ever since the Boers came to this land. So they were happy when they got the democracy. So now the present government is still doing the same thing the colonial government was doing. So now the people are confused. So if you sometimes when you watch the news, you'll see the people uprising or fighting against the government because after this present government took over the power, there is nothing good or nothing changed from the former government to now. So now is everybody is one man for himself, I guess.
Just so that we can understand, in terms of the way that you approach the government of South Africa for help, is it like you protest, you write a letter, you march there, you call them? How do you usually engage them that you don't get response from them?
I'm a person of peace. I don't want uh, the violence, because if you engage to people or communities or the nation to march to the government, you'll find that there are some unruly people inside the march where they will burn, they will kill. I don't like that. Usually, we try to follow the protocol, like the law, uh, like submitting our application to the government, so that we mustn't march, because when we march, people will turn into violence. They will destroy the same little things which they have. So that's what we're doing. We are approaching the government through their offices.
But is there a kind of sustenance coming from the central government, the South African government in this case, to sustain the people so that their life can be manageably okay under the circumstances, or are you left alone on your own?
Ah, difficult. You know, um, let me go a little bit back. Uh, Colonial government, to be able to manage the people on the ground, they appointed their own chiefs. So now, those chiefs who have been appointed by the government were the supporters of that government, were not the original chiefs of this land. So now, the problem is the now government, when they took over, instead of going down to the people and say, okay, now that we got the government, so we must get the original owners of the land, or the original chiefs or kings, to come on board and submit their application, so that they can see that, this one is not the right chief or the right king has been put by the government. This one is the right one, has been disposed. Then we should put the rightful people back to their position. The now government didn't do that. So people who have been appointed by the colonial, even if they are not the original chief or the real kings and chiefs, they're still there. So they are getting the salary from the government. So now, many of us, like me, we don't want to get the stipend from the government, because we are the original owners of the land. So South African government can't pay me to be a king, because the kingship is through the inheritance. So that's the problem. Those who have been put by the government, they get the salary from the government. So now they don't care whether the land belongs to the indigenous people. They don't care whether the people are working or not. As long as they get salary month end, they really don't care. That's the way it is here.
All right. Now, to conclude the conversation, what would be a kind of an appeal, a message you want to leave out there for the people in terms of what you want to change?
I want people to wake up and understand that the land belongs to indigenous people. As long as we are under the government on our own land and let people to rule us, we'll never be people. We'll never be somebody. We'll never be free. We will never be able to take care of our land. That's my appeal for the people to wake up and know that the land belongs to the black people. What I like is that, in Africa, we are all related. We are the Embo people. We are from the Niger Congo. We spoke the language of Cameroon, which means all African, regardless, we are one family. So the problem is, in South Africa, because of white men, people do not know that they are related to people from Nigeria, or people from Ghana, or people from Congo. When we see them as foreigners. This is very wrong because that's the mentality planted by the white man so that he will be able to defeat the indigenous people. So now I'm saying, we Africans, we are from the same mother, same father. Now we have to stand up and take what is rightful ours back. That's what I'm appealing at.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate the conversation, and I believe that the message will be driven home. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.